What's going on, guys, and welcome to another TLG Reacts, reacting to the biggest news we've had in years, it seems, in gaming. I'm sure you guys have all heard about it. Xbox, Microsoft is acquiring Activision and Blizzard. It's really crazy. We got details. We got a bunch of stuff we're going to talk about on this topic. I'm sure you guys know all about it, and if you don't, we're going to fill you in. But of course, we're going to be talking about our opinions on it. First off, my name's Seth. If you don't know me, hi, and welcome to the channel. If you're brand new, hit the subscribe button if you like what we do here. And yeah, joining me today is Chevy. Chevy, how you doing? And where were you? And how'd you take the news when you found out?
I'm good. I caught the news right before I went to bed. Phil Spencer.
You going to bed super early?
Usually,
in the morning?
Usually.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a vampire in that regard. Yeah, when I was heading to bed, I usually kind of do a quick Twitter scroll and, just kind of hit the basic news stuff real quick before I go to sleep. And I saw this multi-post thing from him and Xbox, and I was like, well, I better read that. That's probably important. And yeah, it was that. I was like, wow, that's not what I expected.
Unexpected.
Yeah. So
I got woken up a little bit early, like an hour before I normally wake up, and I looked at my phone for a split second, and I saw Xbox buys Activision, and I was like, is that like a meme? And I scrolled like one down on Twitter, and I was like, another person's talking, I'm like, holy fuck, did they really buy them?
yeah,
I went back to sleep for an hour, got that hour of sleep real quick, and then woke up and tried to digest that information because it's really, really fucking huge. This is like really, really big stuff. That's why we're doing this episode like right now, because we got to talk about this.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's such a big thing that my brain was like, that's a joke, right? That's like a fucking, like, someone's like, ha, they would do that or whatever. It's crazy. So anyway, in case you don't know, like we said already, Xbox is buying Activision and Blizzard. Activision Blizzard. I say buying because this transaction will not be finished until the second quarter of 2023. I think they said around June. So it's an ongoing thing.
I think it takes like 18 months or some shit.
That will be happening. But it has started, and yeah, Phil Spencer came out and already talked about it. Did an Xbox Live thing, some blog post thing, email, telling everybody about it. Also in that mentioned that they have 25 million subscribers to Game Pass, so congratulations, Xbox, on that. That's fucking crazy. And yeah, this is Microsoft's biggest acquisition ever. The acquisition is for $68.7 billion. A lot of money. Just for reference, when they bought ZeniMax, which was a huge deal, that was another huge deal that happened. That sold for $7.5 billion. So again, this is $68.7 billion. I know most of you have heard this, but just let that really kind of settle in. They spent a lot of money to acquire one of the big three, like one of the big three companies that we all know: Ubisoft, EA, Activision, Blizzard. One of those are gone now. It's the big two. And now Xbox, apparently. And just for fun to let you guys know, when Star Wars was purchased by the D Word, they purchased Star Wars for $4 billion. I remember when that happened, I was like, that's a lot of money. And like now I'm like, I guess that was a lot of money. And then to kind of show you...
Inflation's a bitch.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And apparently Activision Blizzard was supposed to be worth more not that long ago, but then with all the negative press they've been getting, I guess they sold a little cheaper for obvious reasons we'll get into. And then just another things real quick, 20th Century Fox, when that was sold to the D Word as well, that was $71 billion, and that was huge. So this is only there's a couple billion behind that. Just a couple billion.
It's a weird thought.
Yeah. It's crazy. This is huge. This is I think it's like, I was watching something recently, or today, and it said it was like one of the top 5 biggest, or top 25 biggest acquisitions of all time.
I believe that.
Which is insane. So
you don't hear that kind of figure very often.
So all I can say is Xbox is not fucking around with this. Like they expect, I'm assuming they expect a lot from this. A couple details on this as well. Phil Spencer, his new title now through this is CEO of Gaming for Activision Blizzard, and Activision Blizzard will report to him. he is in charge of them. So that is interesting. Some people are kind of speculating maybe Bobby Kotick would stick around and still run it under him, something like that. That's not the case. Now, it is not 100% confirmed that Bobby Kotick is leaving for sure. Wall Street Journal has said he is going to leave, but I don't know how they know. It is speculated heavily that he will not stick around after the transaction is completed. He will make away with a lot of money, though, and probably go hang out on a yacht, have a good rest of his life.
Probably get hired in another fucking company, get another fat check.
Create another company. Yeah. We will see. Then after the transaction is complete, this will make Microsoft the third biggest, this is wild, the third biggest game business based off revenue after Sony and Tencent. So that's kind of crazy. We're not going to talk about Sony too much here, but that's crazy that even with this acquisition, Sony and Tencent doesn't surprise me.
No.
But Sony does, because they don't own this many fucking companies. So it's like...
Well, to hop into that category real fast, because I obviously don't want to stick on it too long, but I think Sony's big thing is over the course of years now, they have invested in creating first-party companies, so profit margins are going to be higher because of that.
Yeah.
Versus licensing things or publishing for other people, you get a cut. They pretty much get the whole thing almost.
That's
with their
true.
First party, so their profits would be higher even if they didn't have like necessarily as big companies. So percentages would be higher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. That just really shows Sony knows what they're doing. So, besides Microsoft apparently, because they're just eventually going to own all the companies. So with those details alone, is there anything that really comes to mind? You know, the $68.7 billion, huge transaction. Phil Spencer is going to be the CEO of gaming for Activision Blizzard, and Bobby Kotick is out. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, my initial thought when it comes to Microsoft and Activision Blizzard is I actually see this as a good thing for both companies. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's a good move for Microsoft because they would not have pulled that kind of trigger if they did not see a return coming from that.
Call of Duty and Candy Crush are kind of
alone.
Yeah.
Pull and then outside of in. You know, WoW has over, from million to multi-million subscriber counts, which is another $15 a month thing that they get to make money off of. So
it's they just they bought a cash printing machine,
like they did with Mojang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Merch alone for Minecraft was probably so much money. So, that being said, as someone who's not particularly fond of Activision or Blizzard games, it does give me a little hope because I am a little fond of the Diablo franchise. Mm-hmm. And though I don't necessarily expect to see any immediate improvements out of them, I do think in the long term, there is some hope for me to maybe actually start paying more attention to those companies again, with the stuff they're making. Because I do think with all the stuff that got brought to light, that does affect workplace mentality too, which is going to affect products. And I think that's been bleeding through for a while, and we just didn't know why. So.
For sure. Yeah. I outside of the obvious conversation we're going to have about, possible monopolies and consolidating too many companies, I do think everything about this purchase will be positive for literally everybody involved.
Yeah.
Including Bobby Kotick, which I hate to say because he's just going to make off with all that money.
Oh, he's going to be just fine.
Yeah. But he's getting out of the picture as well. So there is a positive there. Unless he does stick around, but I just don't see it happening.
Title of just fucking advisor.
But yeah, I agree. If they pulled this trigger, they got big plans. They got a strategy. They've obviously been planning it for a while. But it's interesting because Xbox kind of has like a hands-off approach to a lot of their companies they've bought. Mm-hmm. So I do think they might be running as usual, but at the same time, there was a heavy emphasis from the overhead at Activision Blizzard that was kind of running everything into the dirt. And now that that's going to be gone, and you're going to be getting this Phil Spencer leadership, including, I'm assuming, how much they're going to clean house here when it comes to all the issues that they already kind of did after the California lawsuit happened. But I think you're going to get better workplace environments, which everybody deserves. And under Microsoft, I think they're I'm not saying Microsoft's perfect or wherever, they might have issues, but they don't have the same issues that were happening at Activision Blizzard. So I do think
it's anal about it anyways with the size of the company they are too.
100%. And I kind of talked about I didn't talk about this in this episode. I guess you don't know. Microsoft's not gonna let all those issues that happened at Activision Blizzard affect their business. So people are gonna get fired. Anyone who's still doing anything like that, they're going to get cut instantly. Yeah. They're going to get rid of them. So I think this is going to be positive in every way. It's going to be better for the people working at these companies. I think it's going to be better managed under Phil Spencer, because whether you like all consoles, if you're a PC player, Sony player, Xbox player, everyone seems to like Phil Spencer, including me, including you. I know you like him as well. And so he's one of the only people who's like in big business that I kind of trust still. I think he has good intentions. So, and he did say that thing before we knew about this, where he was talking about how he was kind of appalled, he was appalled at like Activision Blizzard's work environment, and that he was going to reevaluate his business with Activision Blizzard, and then apparently just bought them, and that's the evaluation.
I'm sure it was in talks at that time, but
yeah, I think that was in November or something, so it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, and I'm sure that could have been used as leverage for the price as well.
So. Oh, probably. They're like, probably you should drop that price a little bit. Yeah. With the fucking the bad PR we're gonna inherit from you that we have to fix. So yeah, it's definitely part of it. But yeah, price point's gigantic. It's crazy to think that Activision Blizzard is worth that compared to some of the other companies I was looking at, how much they're worth. But at the same time too, you got to look at like what games they have. Yeah. Activision Blizzard is making a shitload of money, so it's really kind of crazy. But yeah, I'm happy with the idea of Phil Spencer running it. It seems like a lot for him to run, but and I'm sure there'll be people under him running things, of course, and every single dev is going to have their own leadership. But him overseeing things, it just sounds so much better than Bobby Kotick. Like, it's the exact opposite of Bobby Kotick. So that alone just, and we'll get to it as we talk about it. But like, the biggest thing I have with this whole thing is a slight ominous curiosity on how this goes in the long term when it comes to buying companies to get exclusives and stuff like that. But more so in a positive light, what is going to happen to these huge companies under Xbox's leadership? This has never happened before. Activision's been around pretty much my whole life. They were around like during the Atari days.
Yeah,
I think
they've been out for a long time, for sure.
Yeah. So I've kind of just grown up knowing Activision being Activision. The view of Activision has not been that different my whole life. It's always been pretty negative on how it's ran. And Bobby Kotick, he's always been a joke, all this shit. And then Blizzard obviously was like a downward spiral that happened. But
right.
But it'll be interesting to see these essentially gaming titans being ran by completely different people now. It's a really crazy event that's happening. It's going to change everything. And then Microsoft will be the third biggest game business based off revenue. Congrats. I mean, that's you spent that money. Hopefully it gets you somewhere like that. So that's good. So just in case you guys don't know, I'm going to go through the devs and games that they purchased with this acquisition. I'm sure you guys know, but the devs they purchased are Blizzard Entertainment, King, who's the people who make Candy Crush, I believe, Infinity Ward, Call of Duty, Sledgehammer, Call of Duty, Treyarch, Call of Duty, Raven, Call of Duty, Toys for Bob, who made the Crash Bandicoot 4 and remakes. Actually, they did a really good job with those, so that's it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. And then Demonware, I'm not aware of who they are. High Moon, I don't know either. And then Beanox sounds very familiar. but I think they might have helped with a Call of Duty. I've seen that name before on a game. So yeah, those are the devs that they bought through this. And then games through those devs are Candy Crush, Warcraft, StarCraft, Overwatch, Diablo, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, Call of Duty, Guitar Hero, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Crash Bandicoot, and Spyro the Dragon. So not a bunch of indie titles. Yeah. Some of the biggest names in gaming they bought. So that's fucking crazy. And just for fun, this is something I saw on Twitter. Somebody post. But Microsoft will now own Call of Duty, Doom, Halo, Quake, Overwatch, and Wolfenstein. When I told you that, you're like, so not Battlefield.
And Titanfall.
And Titanfall. So I mean, they own everything else. That's fucking. It's crazy. So yeah, what I kind of want to do is maybe go through these devs and see what we think about them under Microsoft. And if you got nothing to say on it, that's cool. Obviously, like Beanox, High Moon, and Demonware, I don't think we got much to say on. But maybe just some thoughts on what we hope to see from them, what we think might happen with them under Xbox, or nothing at all. So, yeah. So like with Blizzard, I assume things are going to be ran like normal. I think they're going to obviously continue WoW. I think they're going to continue all their games. We're definitely going to be getting Diablo 4 because that's already in development. I think that will probably come out on everything because it's already been in development. I would like to see... I know this isn't going to happen, but I think it'd be cool if they could get Blizzard to possibly either do something new and interesting with WoW. I don't know what that would be, or maybe start a new MMO. Yeah, hopefully clean up all the problems that they had with Blizzard in the first place. I assume that's been taken care of, but I'm sure it will now. And yeah, let's get some more fucking StarCraft. Because like, well, they did Age of Empires and Halo Wars, so Microsoft isn't afraid of RTSs.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool if they could evaluate what Blizzard does and possibly see if making a StarCraft would be worth it.
I think so. I think part of that too is going to be, obviously when it was just Activision Blizzard and that was the structure, or technically still is right now. I know a lot of the decisions made by Blizzard were still made by Blizzard, but there was pressure put on them by a majority of what I assume was Activision.
Mm-hmm. Everybody tries to play up this thing where it's like Activision just took over and negatively impacted them. And like to a certain degree, that's true, but the leadership in Blizzard wasn't great either.
I would say Blizzard still got to make decisions. The biggest thing that happened is that, most of the suits at the table became Activision people, and they go, well, we need you to make X amount of money. And because that pressure was there, Blizzard was put in a position, that they had to make this money, which led to things that were not in the consumer's interest. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they're put in a more relaxed position where Microsoft just says, hey, just make a game that people want to play. We'll see, obviously. And if they can just chill and go back to just making games for the sake of making games and not for the sake of making a buck, I think that would be nothing but a good thing. So for all their properties across the board, I think the big reason we don't see these big changes to things like Heroes of the Storm and StarCraft and stuff is because there's no like way to continuously monetize them in such a guaranteed way as you do with like, WoW does the let's lock you in for 6 months. If you pay for all this game time, we'll give you a mount and stuff like that. Hopefully a lot of those practices just kind of disappear. That
is something that I'm really excited about. The Xbox buying them is, and to be clear, I don't want to make it sound like Xbox isn't trying to make money. They spent this money to make money. They bought a bunch of properties that make money. They could just continue exactly as Activision did and just print that fucking money for sure. If there's one thing Bobby Kotick's really good at, it's fucking making money. He's been good at making money since I can remember. but that is obviously went into the development of all their games and the lack of games they develop. They don't make a lot of Activision doesn't make a lot of games, as that list I just read kind of showcases. And fucking Blizzard doesn't make that many games anymore either. And most of the games they prioritize, like Call of Duty, WoW, and all that stuff, those are all games that bank constantly.
Yeah.
And so you can tell that what games they prioritize making and what games they do make regularly are all built to generate a shitload of money. Xbox will most likely do that as well, but at the same time, I do think they are going to be a little more relaxed on that. I think because I do believe Phil Spencer does when he talks about like he wants gamers to have fun and be access. Included and access, stuff like that. I think he means it. Like it's weird, but I think he means it. And so I think some of that is going to translate into leadership into these companies, something that these companies I don't think have had in a long time. Blizzard definitely hasn't had that in a long time, and Activision very much hasn't had that in a long time.
Yeah, they're definitely give me money company.
Yeah, so you bring up an idea like, I think maybe we could do this or whatever, and someone's like, well, how much is that going to make us? No, fuck it, don't do that. I don't think those conversations will be as restrictive under Xbox. So I think we're going to see some really cool things possibly through all these very talented developers. Regardless of what they've put out,
for sure,
they're all very talented. Yeah. As for Blizzard, do you have any thoughts on what you'd like to see from them under Xbox? Any predictions or anything like that?
I mean, not really. I kind of said, but I just want them to focus on making games and not making monetization machines.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's really kind of the big thing.
Yeah.
Outside of any personal reasons I've had for not playing their games, this is a chance for them to kind of dig themselves out of that hole for me personally.
Well, that's the thing that's kind of crazy too, is like it got to a point with Activision Blizzard that it was like they're so fucked. Like, how do you have to turn this around? How do you do it?
Yeah.
And I guess you just need like a hard reset, which is happening now.
I think people have been kind of saying that about their games anyways. It's like, you guys just need to like scrap and start over, man. Like,
well, but for reputation purposes, it's so hard to clean your reputation, especially with how egregious some of the shit was that came out.
Yeah, for sure.
And so now under Xbox, it doesn't erase any of that, but it does now give the onus of keeping things good for them to someone else that we already kind of trust more. And so it does lighten that burden of like, I'm not fucking supporting them, because it's now like, well, let's see what Microsoft does with it.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody's going to hope for the best, but it is that hard reset that I think these companies needed. It kind of worked out perfectly. I kind of feel like it coincides with how bad things are going. I'm sure Bobby Kotick was getting to the point where he's like, I don't want to fucking deal with this shit anymore.
Who would?
Exactly. So after these conversations with Phil Spencer, I'm sure they came to the deal, and it's a win-win for everybody. It sucks. It wins for Bobby Kotick, but it's going to win for us eventually once he's gone.
Yeah, he's the one guy who doesn't need a win.
Exactly. But yeah, he's a piece of shit. But fucking, but it's good that he's getting out of the picture. I hope. This could all be horrible. I don't know. Don't have to say much on it, but like King is interesting just because it's been everything we're talking about has pretty much been a talking point from somewhere today. I've been reading a lot of what everybody's saying, and everybody seems to be kind of on the same page with a lot of the shit. But King's interesting because they do Candy Crush, and Xbox doesn't really have a strong like mobile market
presence in general.
Yeah. I mean, they got Game Pass on certain phones, and it's cool, but they don't have like a traditional mobile market like a lot of people do. Yeah. So this is definitely a benefit for them. They just kind of purchased an easy entrance into that with Candy Crush and how huge it is. Infinity Ward's a crazy get, such a good get, and I really hope that they just maintain making Call of Duty like we were used to. Maybe get off the yearly fucking release scheduling. I don't know. I think that's a lot of people are saying that too, and like I agree with it. I think it'd be interesting, but at the same time, like it's been working. When people are like, "Well, this one sold less than the last one," I'm like, "Yeah, but they still sell more than any other games." So like, it's bad for COD but good for gaming.
I would say I hate when people like, I'm not a COD player, but I'm not going to pretend like COD doesn't just like do amazing constantly.
Yeah.
Anyone who thinks that series is like dead is just ignorant. So
Yeah. Also, what's interesting too is the engine that Call of Duty's made on, Xbox owns that now. So that's kind of cool. What if we saw other games made on that?
do you want that? All the hackers already know that engine.
Well, it could be a single player game. Or Microsoft and their infinite knowledge and technologies could make better anti-fucking
I
cheat.
think that's a benefit just in general, because Microsoft's going to be one of the forefront tech companies when it comes to like cloud computing and security.
Well, they're going to have to address all the problems Warzone has now.
Yeah.
And I think they'll do a better job.
Well, at least the Activision companies and Blizzard companies will have a resource to call and be like, hey, got this problem, any suggestions, like if they don't know it. I mean, obviously I'm sure a lot of that happened behind the scenes anyways, but now it's like, it doesn't have to be like some weird like just calling your buddy dev that works for another company as much as just like, hey, Papa Microsoft, I need some help. So
yeah, I think at the very least though, Infinity Ward and Treyarch are probably going to continue making Call of Duties like we're used to. We'll see if they change the schedule or not. I don't see why they would, but it would be kind of cool if somebody's like, let's like try and like recalibrate what Call of Duty is and let's make it great again. I am curious though about Sledgehammer and Raven, because Sledgehammer has been releasing the biggest duds for Call of Duty. No disrespect meant, it's just obvious that's a thing. And then Raven has worked on, I think they work on Warzone, so I don't know if they're going anywhere or not. But it would be interesting to see what they do with these guys. I don't know if we're going to get some fat cut from the whole package.
or just homogenization.
Or put them into other devs, or maybe put them on new projects that are not Call of Duty related. That would be interesting. That's one thing I'm kind of curious about is like, are all these devs, once they finish their projects they're working on right now, going to continue doing the projects they've always done, or can their talents be used for something else?
Yeah.
They're not going to kill off Call of Duty, but they have like 4 or 5 fucking companies working on it.
Yeah.
They can maybe find something else for some of those lower end devs to do. Toys, go ahead.
The only thing I was going to say too, the other thing that's kind of like reassuring is since Microsoft has bought Mojang, Minecraft, for in case you don't know, Minecraft has still just been Minecraft this whole time. The only thing that changed with Minecraft is you can download it through the Windows Store and use your Microsoft login now.
Yeah.
It's still just Minecraft. Those devs still just keep making Minecraft. So
it's crazy how far along Minecraft has come as a game under Microsoft.
Well, and very obviously like minimal intervention.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my big point is they've just been allowed to continue making Minecraft.
Well, that seems to be the case with almost everything that they acquire.
Yeah.
It's really like they just see that they're doing something good, and they're like, we would like you to work under us and just do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which obviously gives them new benefits in the sense of like financial support and technological support.
Because of a big scary overlord.
True. That is true. Toys for Bob's really interesting because they make Crash Bandicoot, and it's really weird to think that that's an Xbox property now.
That's a weird one.
It
was
really
weird when it was on multi-platforms.
Yeah, for sure. But I hope they get used for something. A lot of people were kind of throwing around the idea of them making a Crash Bandicoot, fucking Banjo-Kazooie, which would be interesting. I know Rare still exists, but they got Rare working on other things. The name Rare still exists. The company itself is not what it used to be. And yeah, I saw that kind of floating around. I'm like, that'd be kind of interesting. Yeah. They got like a platformer background. They could get them to make all sorts of shit, or make something completely new, some new IP.
And Microsoft has flirted with platformers pretty much every console. Yeah. They just don't really go hard on it.
Yeah. And then with Demonware, High Moon, and Beanox, which I know that name from something. I don't know much about them, so I can't really speculate. But obviously that was part of the package, and I can't even speculate if they'd get cut or not, just because. But all these devs are big devs for the most part, and realistically, I just feel like they're gonna do what they were doing anyway, but I can't think of a situation where something like this has happened to such big devs. And so I'm sitting here thinking like, what are the possibilities? What could be done here? And then real quick, we'll go through the games. I already read them before, but maybe give some insight on what we'd like to see happen to these games under Xbox. Candy Crush, I don't really care about too much, but I know a lot of people play it. A lot of boomers play it. A lot of everybody plays it. It just makes sense for Xbox to have something like that.
I mean, mobile games are just revenue generators.
Yeah.
So.
Warcraft is a property. Would you be interested in seeing something that wasn't WoW mid with that?
I mean, they can do whatever they want. This is tricky for me. I'm not a fond of Warcraft as a series, and I played a little bit of WoW. I mean, if they make a good game, make a good game. I'll just keep it at that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool. They own the property now, and they got plenty of devs, so they can do whatever the fuck they want with Warcraft now. It's kind of crazy to think, like Xbox and be like, we want to make a Warcraft third-person action game or whatever the fuck first-person shooter or some shit. And then so on a more specific note, WoW. Everybody's been talking about it. People keep thinking that they possibly will throw WoW onto Game Pass. With or without a subscription. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, okay, so them throwing anything on Game Pass, I think is just
They're throwing it all on there, dude.
It's good for the consumers in that regard. I think Microsoft would be willing probably to do it, just because they have shown many times that they don't need to make immediate profits off things to do it. I do also kind of wonder if they would do everything other than WoW on Game Pass, just because it is a subscription thing. One of the biggest things I'd probably like to see is if they can maybe do something. This is going to be a weird example, but like Final Fantasy has that, the free trial of 2 full games, so half the game. I think... I know WoW has a trial as well, but I know it's like really, really minimal. And I think it'd be better if they offered a lot of the game instead, minus the new content. Obviously, you want people to pay for that, and I completely get that. So maybe something like that, and you can maybe throw that version on Game Pass too. I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to say what would be best in the terms of an MMO, and which is a service to be attached to yet another service product. It's kind of a weird prospect. So,
yeah. Yeah, I have no reason to believe they're going to do anything, so I'm just kind of throwing it out here.
This is obviously just talk. So,
well, and this topic's so fucking huge. It's hard to even like pinpoint where to start talking because it changes so many things. I have a hard time thinking that they wouldn't put WoW in some implementation on Game Pass because they're willing to put Halo day one on Game Pass. That's like one of their biggest names they own. They want people on Game Pass. They want you spending the $15 or whatever. They got 25 million people doing that right now, apparently. It just kind of makes sense. It doesn't make sense in the sense of like people who play WoW are used to paying a subscription. So I don't know how you just... I mean, I don't think anyone would complain. If you're like, have a WoW subscription and then you're like, oh, I just have to pay for Game Pass and then I can just play WoW.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but at the same time, Microsoft doesn't seem to care about the individual sales of games or anything like that. Maybe they can bank off of microtransactions in games, or I know somebody proposed like a different version of Game Pass that would allow for it. There's all sorts of avenues they can go down, but I think it'd be kind of crazy if because like a game like Diablo and Overwatch, I could see being on Game Pass.
I don't think that's an if. I think that is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's like, why exclude WoW?
Because it's a service game.
Yeah, sure, but it doesn't have to be.
I agree. I'm just saying that would be the reason.
And so another thing that keeps coming up that I think is really interesting, everybody keeps talking about Final Fantasy 14, which is just such a weird time to live where people are like, bring up Final Fantasy 14, we're talking about popular MMOs. And so they keep saying like, well, Final Fantasy 14 is not on the console, at least Xbox.
Yeah, due to I think there's only one thing that's causing that not to happen. I think it's that Microsoft wants Microsoft only servers available.
Yeah.
And Square doesn't want to do that.
Yeah. And so as a counter to that, offering WoW on Game Pass would be a really strong incentive to get people to playing WoW.
Oh, well, no, for sure.
And Microsoft has shown that
to...
they're willing to fucking dump money into long-term endeavors.
Well, and that's part of the thing when I was bringing up the trial thing too. Like one of the biggest, especially on a service game where like that has the kind of content like an MMO does, you give them in there, you give them a big fat taste of it.
Yeah.
So they want to keep playing. Like it just makes sense, and I think that would be the smartest thing to do. And if that free version is part of Game Pass, awesome. And if it's an additional fee to get the newest content.
So maybe just play the game and then do the like buy the expansion thing.
No, not even buy the expansion. Just like, in this case, we'll say an extra $5 a month or whatever. Now you have access to what's current on top of your Xbox Live and Game Pass fees or whatever. So,
do you think Game Pass will have BattleNet integration, or do you think they'll get rid of BattleNet?
I think they'll keep BattleNet because they've kept the Java launcher for Minecraft. They just added an additional launcher through Microsoft if you want that.
Oh, okay.
Through the Windows Store or and you can they migrated all Mojang accounts to Microsoft accounts. So you log in with your Microsoft account now.
Yeah. So you think they might do that with BattleNet?
I would not be surprised if they did that. And I honestly think they do that for two reasons. One is it's easier to keep track of, I'm sure. And two is probably security. If it's going through Microsoft's authentication servers, it's easier for them to keep track of security in one place than multiple.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I'm not a dev or tech dude in that regard. So,
yeah. It's all interesting though, because like WoW, it's so weird how they're like, it's almost like weight has been lifted with this, because like any discussions on WoW for a while there was like just a lot of negativity. And now it's like what possibly could be positive coming to WoW now through new leadership.
Well, their devs need to make systems that are fun.
For sure.
That's
And maybe somebody at Xbox will fucking prioritize making sure that happens. I don't know. Because that it's either going to happen or it's not going to happen, but it's going to be under Xbox. So you can blame them at this point.
Yeah.
It's so weird. You can't just go like, oh, Activision fucking sucks. They always sucked. And that's why that conversation's over now. Also, a couple people were saying this, and I completely agree. They need to split up Activision Blizzard. That doesn't need to be a name anymore. Activision just needs to be its own thing, and Blizzard needs to be its own thing under Xbox.
The tricky part about that, obviously, is that the stock would have to be split as well, which isn't unheard of. That they could do that. I was thinking as a company, it is a stock. It's a public company in that regard.
But I think once it trades hands with into Xbox, that will affect the name of it. I don't know. I'm not into stocks, but
I don't either.
But anyway, there's just like a negativity to Activision Blizzard. The idea of Activision Blizzard. So I think it'd be better. There's no reason they need to be fucking connected at this point outside of that reason you just said. But like when it comes to like Xbox and their devs at this point,
I don't even think they need to use. This is gonna be a weird one, but like if Call of Duty comes out, for example, I don't even think it has to say Activision anymore because Activision's not.
I don't think so either.
Like it could literally just say Microsoft Game Studios,
and then Treyarch, yeah,
Call of Duty, like.
Yeah. Maybe they'll do away with. It'd be so. It's so hard for me to assume that the name Blizzard will disappear more than Activision.
No, I think there is in the PC realm, I should say that is a staple name. I don't see the name's worth money. Like
for sure.
So,
and I think they would respect that enough anyway for the legacy of it. But at the same time, I feel like they do the same thing with Activision.
But Blizzard also is a developer. Activision is not a developer.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Very interesting. Okay, so yeah, Warcraft, WoW. Hopefully they can just improve the game for people who want that improved. The Game Pass thing is very interesting to me though. So we'll see how that plays out. But I really don't think there's any reason they couldn't just put it on there.
Dude, you're gonna see Day 1, Diablo 4, and Overwatch 2 on there. though.
For sure.
I don't think there's a question.
Yeah.
So
Well, we'll get to that. So with StarCraft, do you think there's a chance we'll get more StarCraft, another RTS, StarCraft 3?
I don't think they'll let the name die. That'd be stupid.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I think Microsoft has the resources to just experiment with it and try it out. So,
I just like, even if they, which I would hate, but devs do it all the time. Just make some random ass game just to keep the name written. You'll see a StarCraft game. It's gonna
we'll get a StarCraft Ghost.
It might be a mobile game by the Candy Crush guys, but you'll get a StarCraft game.
That'd be a shame, though.
That would be a shame.
That would be a shame.
I'm just saying, in order to keep the name, they could easily just do that. So.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe other games under the StarCraft name too.
I mean, I would like just a StarCraft 3, and like, I enjoyed the story aspect of StarCraft 1 and 2. So.
Yeah, StarCraft 2 is good. It just sucks it wasn't the money printer that other games they own were. Because they're just like, well, that was fun to fucking try.
Wasn't Bobby's favorite.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really have much to say on Overwatch. They're already working on Overwatch 2. That's going to come out.
It'll sell regardless of how good it is.
It'll sell. I assume it's going to come out on everything because it was already being made. So the exclusivity thing, we can talk about in a bit. But when it comes to games they're already working on, I do think they will let those. They will honor the initial like release of those as intended. But yeah, Overwatch, I can't really think of much they need to really do outside of like, maybe expand on Overwatch more in terms of like maybe more story oriented stuff, single player co-op stuff. I don't know, but I don't really care too much. But Overwatch wasn't really that negatively affected by anything. Diablo 4 is being worked on as well. I assume that's going to come out when it was originally going to come out. And I'm sure fucking Xbox will be very happy to have that on Game Pass day one. That'll be very exciting. That's just crazy. The amount of games they'll be able to just put out day one on Game Pass. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm. Isn't Heroes of the Storm pretty much dead?
Doesn't get any like esports cover. It's on live support. I think it'd be.
Do you think Xbox will try to revitalize that?
I don't think there's enough demand for MOBAs, to be honest. The name, like even the name,
League of Legends, but that's already settled. People just play it.
That and Dota, they'll like.
Yeah.
It's like trying to break into the fucking battle royale genre right now, and some people are still trying to do it, but like those names are there at this point. Like, you're playing Apex, you're playing Fortnite, you're playing fucking some people are playing PUBG. Like, there's still, those names exist, they're gonna be there. You really have to offer something like fucking crazy to break in at this point. So I think MOBAs are kind of tapped.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Any thoughts on Hearthstone? I don't know much about it.
I haven't touched it in a long time, so I could just be talking out my ass here. But when I did play it, my biggest complaint was the lack of single player. And then when I did try it a little later and had single player, it was weird. It's the only way I can word it, I guess. Like, you had to, like, I don't know. The game feels like it's trying to get your money constantly, and I don't like that. So,
yeah, it'd be weird if like they just let all these developers just continue what they're doing without the leadership of Activision Blizzard. And so it's like some of them are like, wait, we can like start experimenting with stuff and trying stuff out, and other people are like,
that would be ideal.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Like, it's kind of like, because they've been working on it already for so long, and I just give them a little bit of freedom. Do kind of the Destiny 2 thing where fucking they get like got free and they're able to like.
Don't go the Destiny 2 route, but yeah.
Sure. No. Don't follow exactly. But I'm saying, like, for a while there, Destiny 2 was like really fucking good. Everybody's really happy with it. And it's because they had the freedom to not have to make Destiny 3 right around the corner. They could continue working on it as a games as a service thing. But then be funny too if some of the people are so hard coded and like, we got to make this game as profitable as fuck, and they just continue the fucking Activision Blizzard protocol.
Yeah, but that'll affect reputation, and that'll get nipped in the bud, I'm sure. Or for sure, let go.
Yeah,
as me and you kind of talked about before, Microsoft is not afraid to cut their losses ever.
No.
Like
They'll just cancel a project midway through development because they're like, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, we already kind of touched on a little bit on the per dev front, but as a game comes out every year, some people would argue it's gotten stale. I think 2 Call of Duties ago we got a good one, and they're working on Modern Warfare 2 now, which is pretty hyped. Pretty stoked about that. I don't see them changing the schedule, but people keep talking about it. I wouldn't be against it, giving them more time to work on these games, as long as the priority was to make these like much better than they already are, because it's impressive what they put out every year on a yearly schedule like that. Obviously they're all developing games for 3 years apiece, I think, but giving them more time would be really cool to see. The thing that's crazy about this, 2 things, is the idea of a Call of Duty brand new dropping on Game Pass, which I don't see why they wouldn't do it. Just because they did it with Halo. Mm-hmm. That's their fucking baby when it comes to FPSs. Now they own COD.
Also the best shooter that came out last year.
Yeah, 100%. And now they own COD, which is insane. And they could just drop that on Game Pass. You're already paying for it. Now you can get to play that. That's huge. And then the big thing a lot of people are talking about that I'm also interested in, are they going to make it exclusive?
They could, obviously.
Yeah. I think they'd fuck the community doing that, but
I don't think they will, because I think Call of Duty makes too much money being on everything.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. Even if this was like any company and all they cared about was money, that right there alone is a reason to keep it on everything. Now,
what's one of the biggest money makers that they just purchased, and they would be decreasing the revenue on that game that's guaranteed to make money.
Yeah.
If they cut the ability for certain people to play the game.
It'd be the same if they bought EA and then FIFA was only on Xbox. That would be silly, because that's globally a huge multi-platform game.
And all this work was put in like 3 Call of Duties ago to make Call of Duty cross-platform on everything, something Xbox fought for. Yeah. And to go back on that, I think, would be kind of shitty. And again, with anything, when we talk about exclusivity, it's theirs. They can do it.
They can do
and
whatever the fuck
it's
they want,
smart in one regard to have exclusives, to be like, you can only play it here. Although for them, it'd be Xbox and PC. Yeah. For this game in particular, and just the ecosystem it has been for so long, I think it's the smartest to just fucking keep it on everything.
Yeah, agreed.
But then you can sweeten the pot with being like, you can play it on PlayStation, or if you have Game Pass, you already got it.
Yeah, I think too. Just talking about
how much does
PlayStation
that
in
cut
general.
into revenue?
Between PS4 and PS5, there's over 100 million units out there, with all the potential to buy Call of Duty on. There's a big market to just ignore.
Yeah.
So I just don't see it happening.
Well, it sells so much more than most games that it would be pretty. That's a pretty bold move.
You would notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If out of any game, maybe some smaller games, you're like, man, it doesn't need to be on PlayStation. We can just sell it on Xbox. But Call of Duty's like huge. It's gigantic. It'd be weird.
Again, regardless of personal opinions on that game, you cannot deny that.
Yeah, for sure. So if they were to make it exclusive, it doesn't really affect me. I played on PC, but I do think it would be kind of shitty. Would suck. Any new IPs Xbox makes through any of their devs that weren't already on a bunch of things already, do whatever the fuck you want with it. But I think the smarter, more respectful thing with the IPs that were already on a bunch of things, I get certain ones you want to do it, but like Starfield, dude, fucking yeah, keep that, man. You just made that. But
I also guarantee you, if Nintendo and Sony played ball, Microsoft would just easily just put Game Pass on both them things and not care about exclusivity anymore. They don't care about that.
Yeah.
They only care because they have to.
They want you in
now.
their ecosystem. That's it.
Yeah. Once they don't have to care about that, they won't care about that.
Exactly. Yeah, I just with the games that have already been on things for a while, I just think it's way more respectful to the communities that have been growing with those games for years to let them go like that. But if they do keep them as exclusives, I preach exclusives all the time. I get it. It's just kind of tricky when we start talking about games that have been around for like fucking 15 years or something that on everything. And then you're just going to be like, well, you guys like it? Well, you guys just got to come over here like now, like we've decided. It's kind of like what Epic Games did for a while there with like jacking games from Steam. It's disrespectful. It's not good.
Yeah, this is kind
politics.
of tricky for me too, because obviously coming from a place of like having PC, a PlayStation, and a Nintendo, my thought process is just where I'm gonna play, like where are you gonna make me play it. I realize not everyone's in that position, and so it is really shitty for people who are a one console or just a PC gamer or whatever. If something was to be taken away from them. Now, PC obviously doesn't have anything to worry about, but I'm just throwing that example out there in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in the interest of just like good faith with gamers and then just revenue in general, I would be surprised if Call of Duty went exclusive. But if it does, I mean,
that's just how it is.
It's their game now, man. Like,
I guess people got to buy Xbox and PC then.
Yep, if they want to continue playing that,
because that's how it is. You know, that's why they have exclusives. They want you to play where they want you to play. Yeah,
but it's theirs.
So. But I hope they don't do that. And I am very, very, very. I'm just so fucking interested because I play Call of Duty every year. Not the biggest fan, but I like them, and I'm very curious to see what they feel like after Xbox has finally kind of taken over them. See if anything changes tonally, gameplay wise, if they get better, worse. It's gonna be very interesting to watch, and I feel that way about all the games that they've got at this point from this, but Call of Duty in particular, because you do get them yearly. There are things you look for in each one, and if they'll start kind of going away or getting better, it will be very noticeable.
The Easter egg game is gonna get real funny too now, since like WoW's full of Easter eggs as an example. You're gonna see tons of like Microsoft stuff in there now, I guarantee.
Like fucking Master Chief Armor is gonna be in all these games, all these fucking games.
I mean, like, it's gonna be real weird to see just the Microsoft Game Studio stuff sprinkled into other titles.
You're gonna have fucking Paladin armor and fucking Diablo. It's gonna be Master Chief. And like a horse chariot with fucking, it looks like a warthog.
I hate what you're saying right now.
It's going to happen, dude. You're going to be able to buy it. You're going to play the game for free on Game Pass, but you'll be able to buy those microtransactions. Guitar Hero, any thoughts on that? Are they going to bring it back?
I think it's tricky, right? And I think the future of music games is kind of tricky anyways, but I feel like they just need to make a system, right? Like, so this works, and now we're just going to add stuff to this constantly instead of making new versions of things. I've thought this about sports games. I'm not a sports game player. Maybe I'm being dumb, but I never understood why they just give you like this. You pay $60, you get the engine and that version of the game, and then every year you pay your $40 upgrade fee or whatever, and you get the new rosters.
We used to say that about DDR a long time ago.
Sure, like, why not just make a universal thing? And then every few years they do an upgraded engine or whatever, but you don't have to do it yearly.
Yeah, exactly. But you can sell games every year.
Yeah, but we live in a digital age where you can cut costs, from physical stuff, and then still, I mean, you charge $40 for effectively an add-on.
Yeah.
Not that I want to like pay $40 for something, but it's a once-a-year purchase type of deal. It's cheaper than buying a $60 game. So it's kind of a win for both people, I think.
Maybe for their push towards the metaverse, fucking Guitar Hero will be in that.
I'm not having this conversation.
We don't got to talk about it. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Think we're going to get a new one?
I hope so. The last one did all right, didn't it? It was a remake, obviously. But
yeah.
It shows that people are willing to play them if they're good. Yeah. So
would be interesting to see that.
I think that's video games in general. Weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't got much to say on that. If they make more, that's cool. I'm also used to a world where we don't get new ones. So
yes,
either way, I'm cool with. I mean, I do miss Tony Hawk games, but is there a huge demand for skateboarding games nowadays? It seems kind of like it, but nobody's making them. So even though they are making a new skate, so
you can't win.
I don't know. I just remember they had some guys in the shadows go like, "Oh, we're working on it," and that was it. I'm like, okay. Crash Bandicoot. I could see them making a new one, possibly. I would hope that they would release on everything, just because that is a brand that has been on everything. But if they didn't, I'd get that. But I also, like I said before, would like to see Toys for Bob maybe make a new thing, and making a Banjo-Kazooie would be fucking neat. If they did that, they could even work with Rare, so they put the Rare name on there and Toys for Bob, and they work together, some of Rare and all of Toys for Bob, to make a Banjo-Kazooie, or like some kind of Diddy Kong fucking racing game.
Yeah,
that'd be sick.
I think it's a good opportunity for them to maybe go kind of harder on making platformer games, because that's I mean, obviously when you think that, you generally think Nintendo, I'd say, and then Sony has some, but Microsoft has they have them, but do you think about them? Not really. And it'd be an opportunity to maybe put a little more spotlight onto that genre for Microsoft. So I think they should do something with it. Even if it's just Crash, everyone knows the name, and honestly, mascots type characters, your Crash, your Mario's, your Sonics, whatever, lend themselves to be whatever kind of game you want to make. So I think it's a good place to be experimental. Just do something fun.
Yeah, I agree. And pretty much everything you just said, I agree with. When it comes to Spyro the Dragon, it's very interesting to think of them owning that. Yeah. I mean, make another one, I guess. Like, what could it hurt? Somebody's gonna play it, and you could throw it on Game Pass.
Put Spyro in Flight Sim.
You could do that. Be a crazy crossover. Yeah, you could do all sorts of shit. Like, you could put like StarCraft vehicles in fucking things and all sorts of stuff. It's fucking crazy how many things they just bought. And then I had another thing on this list that we didn't talk about that I wanted to. Let's see. WoW on console. You think it's gonna happen? I feel like it's gonna.
I think that should happen a long time ago.
Yeah, I agree.
And
100%.
anyone who doesn't think that this should happen, first off, Final Fantasy 14 is on console, plays with the PC people
play just
and
fine.
They can raid just fine. There's no disadvantage there. WoW can do it too.
Yeah,
there's no reason they can't. So it should be more accessibility to the game, more people playing it. It's a win.
I not only think that it's going to come to Game Pass, I don't know how it's going to, but I think it's going to. I think it's going to come to console. I think they're going to want to do it because now they have an MMO on a console. And I even think it's possible they would put it on streaming, which would be difficult, but I think eventually they'll be able to do it, and I think they're going to do it.
I think hardcore rating would have the same problem first-person shooters have.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I agree. There'll be hurdles, but there's hurdles already with streaming. Yeah. But if you give people the option to pay for Game Pass and like do some mindless farming and shit,
casual content would be fine.
Yeah. On their fucking phone, like that, you want to get people back into WoW. You want to get them excited about it again. Offer them a way to fucking play it anywhere.
Yeah, I agree with that. For sure.
And I'm sure they're thinking about this, and I'm sure they know that, and they're trying to get everything on there. So. I just don't think that they're going to give like WoW special treatment in some way. I think they're going to try and fucking get that thing all over the place. Like the rest of these properties they bought. I mean, everything else here, I'm thinking they're all going to get the same treatment. So I'm thinking like WoW's probably going to get the same treatment too, but there are hurdles because it's a different entity. It's a different monster.
Yeah.
But I do think we are going to see a WoW on console, which should have happened. Like you said a long time ago.
Yeah, I won't be so bold to say I think it'll happen, but it should happen.
Yeah. I 100% will say it should happen, but I do very much believe it's going to happen. Yeah. I think it's more likely than unlikely that it will happen, and I think it should 100% because they can totally do it. I'm sure people have already mapped ways to play WoW on controllers for years.
Oh, sure.
And so it could totally work, and yeah, I would like to see that happen.
I think the one tricky part you're gonna run into that, and I've heard this argument before when it comes to WoW, why WoW isn't on console the way Final Fantasy is, and that's mod support. Final Fantasy does not support mods, so
that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how that's gonna get affected. if they start changing anything about it, it's gonna prove.
They won't take mod support away from that game after all these years.
Well,
so,
yeah, I don't think they're gonna. So that's what I'm saying. Like they're gonna have to work around that.
Yeah.
But I mean, we are talking about somebody who just spent $68.7 billion on something, so they have the resources.
Sure,
to do things.
I'm just saying that is probably the largest hurdle when it comes to
it's huge.
console.
Yeah,
because I mean, look at how Bethesda tried to deal with that, and honestly, like you technically have mods, but it's just DLC at this point.
So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about game consolidation. What I mean by that is consolidating games into one spot, meaning buying up games. I've tried to avoid bringing up Sony in this discussion because I don't want to make this about Sony fans and Xbox fans. This is just an event that happened in gaming, and it's going to affect everybody. And I think it does bring up a big point. Every big company buys other companies in every industry. In gaming, Xbox has done it. They bought Bethesda. That was huge. They just bought one of the biggest people out there, which is fucking insane. And though Sony hasn't bought nearly as big of companies, they have also bought companies. They bought Insomniac. Insomniac made Sunset Overdrive. That was an Xbox game. So you can make the argument that, well, they've also taken things from other people and stuff like that. So mostly because we are seeing the biggest example being Xbox. This isn't attacking Xbox. This is just, I'm trying to be clear as possible about this so people aren't like, you just fucking, you're angry, blah, blah, about Xbox buying this. More so, what are our thoughts on anybody consolidating games? Is there too much of that? Are we worried about monopolies, antitrust? Is it good for gaming? And yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so when I read it, this morning, my first thought was Microsoft just seems to be on a buying spree, and that does throw some red flags, right? Or alarm bells or whatever. Now, I don't think they're there yet, especially when you see the top three game people being Tencent, Sony, and now Microsoft after this. It's just they basically played catch up in this point.
I think it's course correction. Over course correction.
And as long as the trend doesn't continue, regardless of company, it doesn't matter if Sony starts buying stuff left and right. I'm going to have the equal complaint there, right? I don't think Microsoft and Sony should own everything.
That
should not happen. That's not good for us.
Well, because people keep talking about what should Sony buy now. I'm like, dude, if they retaliate, then Microsoft retaliates, and then everybody's just buying up everything, and then it's going to be like, fucking, do you have Netflix or Disney Plus? Are you gonna do you play Sony or do you play Xbox? Yeah. And that sounds so fucking shitty.
Yeah, you want as many players on the field as possible so that competition is important, man.
Well, you don't want that many companies under fucking two minds.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there are a ton of small companies and small developers and stuff like that, and more than I could realistically count.
Yeah, there's a shitload.
But if you have these two huge companies buying up all the big devs, the little companies don't have a chance to compete.
Yeah,
it's not with very few exceptions, a rarity can happen and an explosion of growth and stuff like that. But odds are not they're going to be in their favor. It's going to be like right now, the individual going on YouTube, you have to compete with late night show people and celebrities because
they're all being
they're
boosted
on the platform
by the other big companies.
Yeah, so
including the one that's platforming them.
These things aren't good. You don't want this stuff. You want everyone to be able to thrive, and the best way for everyone to thrive is for the playing field to be even. So, I don't think it's there yet. I'm just expressing concerns of where it could go, and I don't want that.
We're seeing a trajectory that we're not there yet, but if we continue on this path, it can get tricky. Yeah. And so this, as we've talked, it's pretty much been mostly positive. Yeah. I think this is going to be huge for Activision Blizzard, those companies under Xbox. I think things are only going to get better for them, which is fucking awesome because it's better for us because we have better stuff. But I have to be realistic on these guys just bought all these companies before they bought Bethesda. and then they bought ZeniMax, not just Bethesda, and a bunch of things out of that, and then they bought Activision. And I'm like, if you can just fucking buy Activision's $68.7 billion. I have a list of what people are supposed to be worth. They obviously could negotiate their own fucking prices, but the market dictates they're worth this. None of them are fucking 68.7 billion. So they just like fucking took out the big dog real quick.
One of three.
Yeah, one of three. And it's like, what? Does fucking Sony like buy Ubisoft or buy fucking EA? Like that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
And so, and then like you said, the little guy, it doesn't play nice for them, and so they got to get fucking absorbed. But then also like, man, I fucking love when someone makes a new development, new dev team, new company. When 343 was created, it was like exciting because it was like unheard of, but it's like people from Halo were coming over, new people were coming in, and they had like created a studio, new life, fucking new ideas, made for Halo, but still like it was really exciting. And like that shit I love. I would love to see, a lot of this money that's being spent on established shit. That's the smart and easy move, outside of the amount of money you got to pay, and invest that into new fucking dev teams with new talent and new fucking people who are rising in the industry.
Yeah.
That's way more exciting to me, and not to say they're not doing that, but, yeah. And then it gets muddy too with like fucking all the properties that people have grown accustomed to playing and liking. And now they got to go like, am I about to be alienated from my community, my games that I like? It's fucking messy. And I think Xbox will play good in that regard for the most part. And I do respect their choice to be able to have their exclusives that they own. But yeah, it does get really kind of, it starts getting kind of murky and kind of ominous, honestly, the more I think about companies just buying more and more companies to gain power. This doesn't sound like a fun environment of creative ideas being celebrated by the people who want to experience them. It sounds like, how can I obtain more power in this industry? And of course that's a part of the whole equation, but
yeah, it's the corporate machine.
yeah, that's the part of it I don't like. I'm like, it starts getting kind of creepy sounding. But I mean, it's to, like I said, I think everything about this mostly is positive.
Yeah.
And it's not
Currently, yeah.
not going to look good for anyone who competes with Xbox. They're going to go, holy shit, I used to do business with Activision, and now that's just theirs. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a relationship with them anymore. So that's really crazy, but it does make me worry about that. And then obviously Microsoft has dealt with it before in the past. AT&T has dealt with it in the past. The government will start keeping an eye on you if you start buying up too many things. And I know Microsoft probably knows how much they can buy up before that becomes an issue. But
I said they've done it before, so
yeah, exactly. So you don't want the government coming in and telling you have to break up your companies. And Microsoft has done that in the past. Xbox is a subsidiary. It's part of Microsoft and is ran independently. But they could be following those same strategies. Microsoft does, even outside of Xbox, want you in their ecosystem. They allowed people with pirated copies of Windows to upgrade to 10 because they just would prefer you have a legit copy and be in their ecosystem.
they don't care if you have a pirated copy anymore.
Yeah, they
Because
just
the
want
store's there.
Yeah, they want you in their ecosystem.
Yeah.
The same with Xbox and Game Pass. Microsoft is very adamant about that. They've always talked about wanting to essentially own the living room and own all these different
They've been saying
things.
that forever.
I know, exactly.
Yeah, that's
So
not new.
yeah, exactly. So this is all like, this is Microsoft strategy 101, just translating into Xbox. So
Yeah, I think we start seeing a lot of that with Xbox 360, even when Bill Gates basically came out and was talking about the box, the one box that'll do it all type of thing. I think that originally that idea, before we were getting into the realm of cloud computing, stuff like that, that was the original plan. But now that you can do everything, they can just have a server building, in place all over the world, and you can connect from any device at this point. It's still a one-stop thing. So the mentality's still there. Sorry, tangent.
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing was kind of a tangent, but when it comes to yeah, just the consolidation thing. So, do you have any other thoughts on that? I feel like
I
people
kind of
get where
said
we're
my
coming
piece.
from.
You know, to reemphasize, I think currently it is a good thing for all parties, but I do not want to see Microsoft buying EA and then Ubisoft, and then go, okay, well, the big guys are gone now. We're going to buy Square, Capcom. So I don't want to see that.
Well, that's literally the thing that's kind of crazy is until today, I never thought about somebody just buying up one of these huge companies. Never thought about it. And now that they bought the most expensive one, I'm like, anyone can get bought. I knew everyone could get bought, but I didn't think somebody would do it. And so now I'm like, they could just buy Ubisoft and fucking EA if they really wanted to.
Well, it also just shows too, like, let's say Google wanted to get serious. They could just go, we own EA now.
Or Amazon. Why isn't Amazon just buying up these fucking people?
Amazon half-asses everything, man.
Sure, it's weird. It's fucking weird. They have so much money and they're just like,
all their tech is like they have, what is it? One of the world's largest, if not the world's largest, web hosting or something like that, and they can't fucking handle technology. Everything they release is half-assed. I don't get it, man.
yeah, I don't get it either. But yeah, I mean, any company that's just like has a lot of money, wants to break into gaming, just buy other companies, I guess.
Please don't.
I don't want that to happen at all. I'm just saying, like, this just really showed me, like, you got the fucking money, you can just be Activision Blizzard. Like, I want to be Activision Blizzard. All right, I bought it. It's really kind of crazy, but I don't. They have to agree to it. This wasn't like a hostile takeover. They discussed this.
They sold it.
They sold it.
Yeah.
I think Bobby Kotick, he's like 60, man. He's fucking just like, you know what? Shit's getting real crazy. I don't feel like doing the fucking fix my
someone else's
my
flight
image
book to be part of.
Yeah, I don't want to have to fix the image of this anymore. I'm sick and tired of it. Everyone's fucking bailing and shit. So yeah, fuck, I'll make off with some money. That's literally what it seems
he'll
like.
Get a fat check when he leaves.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he's making billions off this.
Yeah.
It's
Plus,
crazy.
he's a stockholder, and the stock jumped 30-some% today.
Yeah, those are gonna fluctuate though with big news though, because
Sure,
Sony's
that's
stock
a
went down, and people were acting like Sony's stock is going down. They're gonna like die or whatever, and it's like no, it's gonna go back up.
I can tell you right now that most of the people who play video games don't know shit about stock. I don't want to hear any financial advice from these people.
I barely know anything about it, and I know more than like the shit fluctuates. So like anytime big news like this happens, it takes hits or it rises real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, if only somebody had some stock in fucking Activision Blizzard or Xbox the night before.
Totally bought it when it was low. They're thrilled right now.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have anything else to say on consolidation? I feel like people understand where we're coming from.
Yeah.
We're apprehensive on it because of the threats that could possibly happen with it, but also understand that the market is the market and people can, within legal means, buy companies. So
I really, the one thought I have,
it does pose a threat, and it does threaten the fun factor of gaming, which is fucking the most important thing.
Well, and then so with the fun factor part, you know, if someone ends up owning all the big companies, I do think that would push everyone to. It'd be 2008 all over again. We'd have this. Indie games didn't go anywhere, but it'd just be another huge wave of indie.
Me and you fucking for like the last like couple months have just been like jokingly with everything that's coming out, going like, "There's gonna be another indie boom. There's gonna be another indie boom," and this is happening. We're talking about this. I'm like, there's definitely gonna be another indie boom. Like it's just leading towards it. Like if things keep getting weirder and weirder with fucking AAA, people are just gonna go back to fucking supporting only indies.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I know a bunch of people who still just only play indie games, and I buy everything. But like, yeah, if I
releases gold constantly.
But
so.
like, I am like so beyond fucking turned off by Ubisoft at this point that I'm not excited for anything that they're working on.
And EA and Activision Blizzard.
Well, but now, fucking holy shit, what a weird thing. I'm like, give it a year or two. I'm very curious on what they're going to be doing.
Sure.
But it's not them anymore. It's fucking Xbox.
Mark,
yeah, it's weird.
And
I also feel
2021, Microsoft killed it, man. Forza and Halo, both awesome.
This whole thing, all this purchasing, all the fucking games are released in 2021. Xbox is really like fucking really trying to make up for lost time in the last console generation.
Yeah.
They got left behind. That's just a fact. And 360 did great. They had their hiccup, like the PS3 had its hiccup, and their whole new strategy is causing waves, and they're producing good games, which is what matters to me. So even though I can't necessarily on a personal level be excited for the Xbox console, Xbox as a brand and what they're doing with Game Pass and the games that they're offering is exciting. So we're living in a weird time where I'm separating the conversation from consoles when it comes to Xbox, because they seem to be moving away from that as well.
Yeah, it's not a big focus anymore.
Yeah, this is just options. You can get They stopped making the Xbox One. They're saying the base model Xbox Series S is where you need to start now, which makes sense.
They were kind of quick to cut off the 360s.
They always have been. Yeah, they don't have the same mentality as Sony.
Sony
they
does
just move on to the
10,
next
15-year plan things or whatever.
And so it's just been really interesting that like the conversation on Xbox is changing. It's turning to a different thing. And of course, you still compare them to other companies because they're in competition with them. Even though they say they're not, the conversation has to change because they're not having that conversation about like, you need to buy. Of course, they're going to go like, oh, Xbox is the greatest thing ever, buy it. But what they really want is they want you to play their games on their apps in their ecosystem.
Yeah.
They want you in Xbox land. And so that's really interesting. Just for fun, real quick, I have a list of the going rates of companies if you're in the market for them. All right, so
in case you want to crack the wallet open.
Yeah, in case somebody wants to like buy a company, because it seems to be a thing everybody's fucking doing. I just found this really interesting because just to remind everybody, they sold Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion USD. Shitload of money.
Mini dollar.
Yeah, many dollar. And so other companies right now are estimated to go for also billions, but not as much billions. Nintendo is estimated at $53.79 billion. That's less than Activision Blizzard. Now, if Nintendo would agree to let someone buy them for that, it's a different story.
That also doesn't include the properties, obviously. That's just
True.
Nintendo, the company.
Yeah. EA, $38 billion. Take-Two, $18 billion. Nexon, $15 billion, which is pretty surprising to me. Although probably in Asia they're probably doing bigger business.
It's a big company.
Yeah. Bandai Namco, $15 billion, which is cool to hear because I didn't realize
They own anime on video games.
that is true. Embracer is $10.8 billion. Netmarble is $7 billion. Ubisoft is $7 billion.
Netmarble, that's a weird one.
Yeah.
I played one of their mobile games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, apparently they're worth the same amount as fucking Ubisoft.
Their game's pretty good.
Konami, $6 billion. That's a steal. If you want to get those, if you want to get your Silent Hill back and your fucking...
Someone, you know what? We just bitched about people buying. Someone buy that one.
Yeah. A certain person, a coworker, was telling me that Sony should just buy Konami. And even though I don't want to start the everybody should be buying companies up thing, yeah, Sony, just buy Konami and get those properties. I would trust them with Sony more than anybody, I think, when it comes to Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid. And then they could have their good relations with Hideo Kojima and bring him back over, and it'd be like nothing ever happened. Square Enix is $5.6 billion. Capcom is $4.9 billion, and Sega is $3.6 billion.
They're still worth that much, huh?
Yeah.
Sorry, the Sega one's the most surprising one for me.
What, Capcom or Sega?
Sega.
Yeah. Outside of Sonic, most Sega games are bangers.
Yeah, it's just weird because you immediately associate.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Like when I realized, I was like, wait, most games Sega releases, because you don't know Sega made them. Most games Sega fucking publishes are all well received.
Yeah.
Just not Sonic, because that's the face of Sega.
I would say I know Total War does well.
Yakuza's
been doing better and better as it ages, which is funny.
Oh shit, what was the other one? Phantasy Star does decent business.
They did get some Microsoft bucks on the last one, but yeah.
Yeah.
Though I don't like the direction that series went.
Yeah. So anyway, obviously, there's some give or take with these, and then properties and negotiations, all stuff would have to come into factor there. But these are the estimations of what those companies are worth, according to somebody. I didn't go that deep into it, but very, very interesting. So yeah, if you're in the market to buy up some companies because you just feel like competing,
If you're interested for Silent Hill to re-exist,
yeah, you can do that. And then lastly, I just want to kind of emphasize with this acquisition, not merger, acquisition, Xbox fucking owns this shit or will by 2023. I just hope that all the devs that have been negatively affected in Activision Blizzard get to experience a better workplace with higher ups that respect them more than they were receiving from the last situation, because some of the stories we heard out of Activision Blizzard prior were fucking atrocious, and they happen at other places too, but these ones we know about. And yeah, hopefully Xbox can bring a better work environment. I think they will. Xbox, Microsoft is from here, and it's pretty progressive place, I guess. So I couldn't imagine.
Just look at the way Phil Spencer presents himself. He's pretty Washingtonian, man. I don't know if he's originally from here, but
he acts like it.
Yeah,
he's been here long enough. But anyway, I just I hope they can right those wrongs. There's all these people on Twitter talking about how they used to work for Xbox, and then they moved over to Activision Blizzard, and now they work for Xbox again. And there's like 3 different people I saw alone. I heard about other ones saying like they're like happy to be coming back to Xbox. And there's people at Xbox going like, "Oh, welcome back," blah blah blah. Oh. So it's just really interesting that that's happening. So
yeah, I just want to see. I want to see the specifically the devs at Blizzard want to be at work, want to make games, be inspired to make things, and to be able to go to a BlizzCon and like have fun with their fans again.
Yeah, I don't want them coming in the same way as BioWare comes in working on Anthem under EA. Yeah. And going like, fuck, dude, like, what are we working on now? Like, they changed the name. We got to change the whole game. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Yeah. Same thing, same atmosphere with Blizzard and Activision, man. Sure. Like, hopefully, yeah, they can fix that. And I'm not trying to paint Xbox as like a hero that's saving people, but I do 100% really believe that they are a better ran company than Activision.
Well, change had to happen. Yeah. Specifically in the acquired companies here, and specifically just from just the standpoint of like, the employees. I don't care about the companies that much. Mm-hmm. The employees, most people get into game development because they want to make something, man.
Well, people who first get into game development get fucked a lot of the times.
Yeah,
they don't get paid well. They get overworked. All that sorts of shit. So I just think Xbox will be a better company to look over this than what was happening.
I just want to see all these devs make games they want to make and have fun doing it.
Yeah, not feel some of that passion, dude.
Feel like Bobby's gonna fucking, milk him dry. So
treat him like Toys for Bob, dude. He's Bob and Toys for Bob.
Yeah,
old Bobby. So yeah, just to kind of rehash everything real quick. Huge deal. This is gonna change gaming. It's a really, really big deal. I think Jason Schreier called it a seismic event in gaming, and I even though that sounds really ridiculous, it is. It's pretty crazy, and a lot of money being exchanged there, and I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be good for the most part, and I'm very curious to see what they do with these devs and properties. And yeah, still apprehensive and a little creeped out by the idea of buying all these companies, but chill. We do not see the negative effects yet, so we will kind of see as it goes. And I don't want to encourage an idea of companies just buying up companies in not a console war anymore, but a acquisition war. That sounds fucking awful. I don't want that to be a thing. And that's for Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo, even though Nintendo's over in the corner just playing with its toys, having fun. They don't give a fuck about all this.
I think, a little side note real quick, the Switch is on course to pass the Wii in sales.
Yeah,
Nintendo
doesn't need help until Xbox shows up. I'm like, hey, Nintendo, we've always really liked you a lot. We would like to maybe have you join us.
Such kind wording.
Yeah. Well, you gotta schmooze them. But yeah, honestly, overall, mostly optimistic and really curious to see what happens. This is going to be huge with these huge companies. And the big three is not a thing anymore. So that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's really weird. I don't even want to call the other two the big two. Are they that big anymore?
Wow. That also just sounds bad.
Yeah. And fucking goddamn Ubisoft over here at $7 billion. Are you that big? You ain't that big?
I'm not going to fucking scoff at $7 billion, man.
68.7 billion, dude. And yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts on it. It's a big thing, and this was probably done really sloppy, but it's so hard to cover all the things.
It's a conversation channel anyways.
100%. And there's so much things to cover on this that we probably didn't touch on everything. So let us know in the comments your thoughts on everything we talked about and anything that we didn't talk about. Is there something we missed? Let us know what you think on those things. Do you think this is a good thing, bad thing? Are you in between somewhere? Is it a nuanced issue? What do you think about the antitrust and monopoly threat that's possible there? Do you have any thoughts on how this affects other people like Sony, Nintendo, or other companies? Are you all for it and you want to see them buy other companies? Which ones do you want to see them buy? And
real quick too, if there's anything specific you guys like maybe want us to respond to or something like that,
yeah, we can talk about it.
Remember, if you put hashtag #TLG on a comment, it gets read at a TastyCast. So we will respond to it at that point, as long as you're not being shitty. So.
Yeah, and if there's a bigger point too that you want us to come back and talk about, I'm sure we could do a whole episode on it if it's worth talking about enough. There's so much to this topic that we can't cover it all. But I think we covered a lot. We put more time into it than a lot of the videos I watched earlier. Yeah, we can talk for a long time. Anything else you want to say though before we close this out?
If you watched the whole thing, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for joining the conversation, and join us in the comments below. Chevy, thanks for joining me.
Yeah.
I've been Seth, and yeah, we should have a Taste Cast coming out this weekend. And unless somebody else buys another big company and we got news to cover, we might see you there. But until then, have a good one, and take it easy, guys.